His children, 6 children, are in the courtroom at this point listening to all of this. And the jury was picked knowing that they needed a certain level of comfort to hear these types of descriptions. It was very emotional and really tough to hear, Brian.
We need you to step to the side. Step to the side, please.
Look, you smile. How are you guys feeling? How do you feel today?
Step to the side, please.
Watch out, watch out. Watch your back.
Big. How can you walk today? Congratulations at NYU check. Give us a little space. Give us a little space. Give us a little space. Golden Nation.
Nice little you smile. Nice. That's
Step to the side, please.
like we last guy being by his great dog. Yeah.
Watch out. Give us a little space, please. Oh, my. Sorry about that. Give us a little space.
Here.
Oh, I'm getting it. Guys,
Boss down down. When you die, he's coordinated.
Back up. Back up.
Was right out of here. If possible, conduct.
Hey, man, Sean, man, be good, bro.
Okay.
Charlie.
The moment those courtroom doors swung open, all eyes locked onto Diddy's daughters, Jessie and Delilah. Their faces said everything. No tears, no outrage, just a hollow stare as they pushed past cameras without a word. One reporter shouted, "Did you hear the tapes?" But they were already gone. Because what Cassie Ventura just revealed under oath wasn't just scandalous, it was a blueprint of control so calculated. Even the judge seemed stunned. Let's rewind to the bombshell that triggered this meltdown.
Testimony in the Sean Diddy Combs trial and the prosecution's star witness, his ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura, taking the stand.
Is she ready?
Very ready and confident.
Today, for the first time in 6 years, Cassie coming face to face with Diddy, telling the jury in graphic detail about what they say is the darker side of the rap mogul over the span of their 10-year relationship.
She did say these freak-offs lasted between 1 and 4 days, and it would take her an equal amount of time to get her body recovered, to rehydrate, to rest.
She was emotional. She broke down into tears at one point when she talked about participating in those freak-offs.
Cassie told the jury that the freak-offs made her feel disgusting and humiliated and worthless.
What is a freak-off? The freak-off essentially was something that Cassie said she learned about through Sean Combs about a year into their relationship.
He had everything to do with what she was wearing. She said she would buy outfits from sex shops and see which one he wanted her to wear. And then inside the actual hotel rooms, their apartments where the freak-offs took place, she said that Combs was in charge of lighting.
You were also in the courtroom. This testimony, the details of this testimony.
There are a few quotes that I want to look at that I think kind of run the gambit of what we're talking about here. We have Cassie Ventura here, and then some of her quotes saying here, after the freak off, the room was pretty bad off. The candle wax, the all over the place. And then she described it as having a pungent smell. And she brought us into those rooms in a way that made us think no one wants to be in there.
Prosecutors played a clip from what they're calling the Freakoff tapes, a series of recordings Cassie claims Diddy used as blackmail. In one, you can allegedly hear him directing every detail, from the glistening baby oil on skin to the exact moment a third person enters the room. And if she refused, that's when the threats would come.
When she walked in there, Rachel, she had on a brown dress, form-fitting, visibly pregnant, head held high, and did not make any eye contact with the defendant, with Sean Combs. He said that Sean Combs directed everything from what she had on to the lighting in the room to how she was supposed to interact with the person that she was having sex with. He described it as voyeurism, wanting to watch her have sex with someone else.
Emily Johnson actually said that Cassie did choke on the urine of an escort when Diddy forced this escort to allegedly urinate in her mouth. They did say inner circle numerous times, I believe, really trying to amplify the RICO charges. Diddy couldn't have done all of these crimes without his inner circle, right? Without his bodyguard, without his driver, without his assistant. They talked about alleged kidnappings. That one time he kidnapped his assistant to go and try to find Cassie when he thought Cassie was cheating. It was wild. I feel like I could go on forever, but I won't. At a certain point, wasn't able to perform for Diddy and Cassie. He got erectile dysfunction because of what he saw. He said he saw Diddy at one point after an encounter, dragged Cassie by the hair from her computer seat all the way back to her bedroom while she was kicking and screaming and crying. And after she apologized and came out, he said that Diddy said, okay, you guys want to continue? And he couldn't perform. And that was it. From there, he could not perform after that. And he saw Diddy use Cassie 2 or 3 more times after that as well. And this is a muscular guy. He was 41 years old, a bit smaller, but again, he seemed incredibly affected by what he saw.
Back in court, Diddy's mom, Janice, gripped her purse like she was waiting for a bomb to drop. His sons, Justin and King, stared at the floor. But the twins? They didn't just leave, they vanished. And insiders say it's because Cassie dropped a name no one expected, Kim Porter. Kim Porter's name hadn't been uttered in court for years, and the timing couldn't be more suspicious. But the real shocker? The coroner's report. Kim allegedly died of pneumonia. No investigation, just a gold casket at her funeral, arranged by Diddy in under a week. The LAPD never looked at Diddy's security footage from that night.
Oh, I'll be sure he came out saying that Kim Porter's death needs to be looked into.
I think that Al being his ex-wife, he have every right knowing about the stuff that came out about Diddy and what he was doing. You understand what he has done in the past, and people have overlooked it. By him coming out and saying that he hoped that he could get her case reopened. There was a guy called John Paperwork, the Paperwork Party. They would put in an open petition to get Kim's case reopened. You understand what I'm saying? So I'll be sure doing this is showing that, he still got love for Quincy's mother. He still want to find out the truth because allegedly Kim was fine the day before and the day of her death. And then now she found in the bed, dead from pneumonia. That just don't sound right, bro. That don't sound right at all.
So you feel the same way about her death being suspect?
I don't think nobody in America think it's nothing suspicious about Kim's death, bro. If you are rich like that, you could, Kim had, I think a net worth of like, $12 million a year or something like that. Kim could have called any doctor to come over and look at her. If she was that bad, she could have called an ambulance or something like that. Everything is suspicious about her death, bro. And I don't think an autopsy was done on her. And if it was a half job.
You personally, right? What do you think happened to Kim Porter?
If I say something personal, bro, and my belief, and I put it on to the public, then I might be liable.
Cassie Ventura is sharing new details about her relationship with Sean Diddy Combs. While testifying against her ex in his sex trafficking trial, the pregnant singer, who is currently expecting her 3rd child with husband Alex Fine, reveals to the jury that there was actually an overlap for when she and the late Kim Porter dated the rap mogul. In court, Ventura says, per NBC News, that she and Combs first started their physical relationship when they went on a trip to Miami. It was when they returned home that they began spending more time together, though the relationship was, quote, not public for many years. Ventura adds that Combs didn't want it to, quote, look bad, but also knew it was because of his children and personal things like his family. When she was asked who he was with at the time, Ventura replies, quote, Kim Porter. Combs and Porter, who unexpectedly died in 2018, reportedly dated on and off from 1994 to 2007. With them becoming parents to son Christian, twin daughters Delilah and Jessie, and Porter's son Quincy, whom she had from a previous relationship. Their romance ended in 2007, with her choosing to pack up all of her belongings and move out of their home while Combs was out of town. Porter has previously said to Essence magazine that she wanted it to be, quote, dramatic, adding, quote, if I pack up everything, twins and all, it means I'm out. Puffy's an action person, not a talk person.
But Diddy's team has a counterattack ready, and it hinges on a single text message Cassie thought was deleted forever. Just when it seemed Cassie's testimony would bury Diddy for good, his legal team pulled out a receipt. And not just any receipt, a deleted text chain that allegedly shows Cassie begging to come back to him years after their breakup. "You're the only one who gets me," she supposedly wrote. The freak-offs, the rules, I miss it. The defense's argument? If Cassie truly feared Diddy, why would she ever want to return?
How were these freak-offs orchestrated?
So Cassie kind of walked the jury through what her role was in the freak-offs and how she said that Combs had choreographed them. He was the director in charge. And what she described was that these freak-offs lasted from 36 to 72 hours. The longest one, she said, lasted 4 days. And through that period, she said her role had evolved from initially Combs setting up the first one to then it becoming essentially her job. These freak-offs, she said, were occurring weekly. And what she was responsible for was finding these escorts, using Craigslist, some of these other escort services, helping them travel to certain locations from Miami to Ibiza, to New York, to LA, to Las Vegas. And that she worked with Combs's business travel people in order to move people around, saying that they would project that they were potential employers and getting them to move. But she said that he had everything to do with what she was wearing. She said she would buy outfits from shops and see which one he wanted her to wear. And then inside the actual hotel rooms, their apartments where the freak-offs took place, she said that Combs was in charge of lighting. It began with candles. It then moved to studio lighting, that he was directing how they moved from each action of each act in these freak-offs, and even the amount of baby oil that they were wearing. She said that he wanted them to be glistening, and so he would often encourage them to put on more baby oil. And then part of that testimony, she said, was that she had engaged and used numerous, including ketamine, cocaine, marijuana. And the prosecution showed text messages where before a freak-off, she is texting Combs asking, which colored pill do I take from your Louis Vuitton med bag? And he directed her which one.
She was going to be with someone in this music industry that was going to help her career, that cared about her, but quickly learned after the freak-offs that wasn't the case. And what I thought was also interesting is she said that after that first freak-off, she said she felt dirty. She didn't want to do it. And when she brought up the idea of having a conversation about the freak-offs in an email, which the jurors saw, she said she backpedaled in the email because Combs responded by saying, "I know, you don't want to do it." And she said, "Oh no, well, it's not that." But that was the beginning. That was in 2010, where she brings up in an email that she wanted to have a conversation about this. And in her words, she didn't want to do it, but she felt like she had to do it.
So difficult to hear all of these details. And since taking the stand, Cassie has been emotional. What made Cassie emotional on the stand?
I think what made Cassie emotional is having to describe the details of the freak-off and why she did it. When she talked about wanting to do it to please Sean Combs, that's when she broke down. Up until that point, she had just been answering the questions. She's a little soft-spoken at times, but that's when she got emotional. When she had to answer the question about if she enjoyed it, that's when she broke down, because she said, "I enjoyed being with Sean Combs." And she says, "I did it because it made him happy."
What did the expressions of the jurors look like?
The jurors are laser focused on what Cassie has to say. And that's to be expected, right? Because she is the person who will likely be on the stand, according to attorneys, for 2, maybe 3 days. She's the one that was in the relationship with Sean Combs for over 10 years. So she's got a lot to say, and she's just getting started.
Diddy's lawyers claiming Cassie was a willing participant, even orchestrating parts of the freak-offs herself. As Cassie described these horrifying details, the courtroom was dead silent.
2 witnesses were called today, including a former security officer at the hotel, where Diddy is seen on video attacking Ventura brutally. You remember that video back in 2016. The prosecutors played the video. The witness testified that Diddy tried to pay him off with a giant wad of cash. The day's second witness was a male escort. This is where it really got very juicy, who says that he was paid by Diddy numerous times to have sex with Cassie while Diddy sat there in the corner, masturbating and watched.
We'll repeat that she said on the stand. At one point, she said that a male escort had urinated in her mouth and she actually choked on it. And it was at that point, someone in the courtroom actually had to walk out of the door there while, Diddy sat at the defense table listening on here. But as she was describing these events where she said that, there were multiple male escorts that were happening at one time, these freak-offs would happen for 2, 3, the longest 4 days at a time. And control is the word we need to talk about. That is what prosecutors really laid out. And you heard Cassie describe how every action during these freak-offs, which were between her and male escorts, not necessarily between her and her boyfriend, Sean Diddy Combs, he sat off to the side really directing things according to her and mapping along with what he wanted to see. But he was in control, she said, of exactly how they did everything, from the platform shoes that she needed to wear, the clothes that she needed to wear occasionally, masks, wigs, whether or not the male escort could ejaculate, where he could ejaculate. Everything she said was controlled by him. Mind you, Brian, his children, 6 children, are in the courtroom at this point listening to all of this. And the jury was picked knowing that they needed a certain level of comfort to hear these types of descriptions. It was very emotional and really tough to hear, Brian.
Then, cameras caught Diddy's daughters, Jessie and Delilah, suddenly standing up and walking out. No words, no eye contact, just gone. What did they hear that made them leave? Was it the descriptions of the freak-offs?
Diddy's family is by his side as he appears in court, as the music mogul faces charges of racketeering, sex trafficking by force, fraud or coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution, all of which he has pleaded not guilty to. Diddy's mom, Janice Combs, sons Quincy, Justin, and Christian, as well as 18-year-old daughter Chance and 17-year-old twins Delilah and Jessie, have all been in the courtroom. The first days of Diddy's trial have included testimony from ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura, as well as from male escort Daniel Phillip, who each graphically recounted encounters between them and Diddy. Twice during Phillip's testimony per People magazine, Diddy's 3 daughters, Chance, Delilah, and Jessie, left the courtroom. One of the occasions was during his testimony from May 12th, where Phillip alleged around 2012 or 2013 he had been given, quote, a few $1,000s to have sex with Cassie while Combs watched. Per NBC News, he told jurors, quote, we ended up having sex, rubbed baby oil on each other for a couple of minutes, while describing Diddy touching himself while watching them. Prosecutors also played in court the hotel security footage from 2016 obtained by CNN, where Diddy is seen assaulting Cassie. While the video was played, according to People, Diddy's daughters and mother remained in the courtroom but did not look at the video, looking straight ahead, while Diddy's sons watched. During her May 13th testimony, Cassie alleged the assault occurred after she tried to leave a freak-off, which she described were sexual encounters orchestrated by Diddy, often involving Cassie and a male sex worker. She tells the court, per NBC News, quote, I chose to leave. I got out and Sean followed me into the hallway and grabbed me, shoved me to the ground, kicked me, and dragged me back to the room and took my stuff.
Did Jessie and Delilah just realize their father's secrets run even deeper than they thought? If there's one thing that might sink Diddy in this trial, it's that infamous 2016 hotel video. You've probably seen it, but here's what you didn't know. Cassie testified that this attack happened because she tried to leave a freak-off early.
Taking jurors to a moment they've already seen video of what happened in the Los Angeles hotel in March of 2016. The jury had already seen the video, but they saw it again with Cassie narrating it, saying, that's me, pointing to herself on video and telling the jury this was the first and only time she tried to escape a freak-off before Sean Combs declared it over. She said she got hit by Combs, she had a black eye, and she wanted to leave, but when she tried to, as the jury saw in video, he dragged her back.
That video wasn't just a moment of rage. It was proof of a pattern. Diddy's alleged need to control, dominate, and punish anyone who defied him. And if the jury connects that violence to the freak-offs, that's game over. Here's the truth. This case isn't just about sex. It's about power.
When they first started dating, I think she was 19 years old, so you're talking about a 17-year age difference. That's important. I think that's an important factor if you're talking about power and control, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The fact that he's older and obviously has much more power anyway.
Sherry Williams asks, what kind of time is Diddy facing if he's found guilty?
And if Cassie's testimony is any indication, Diddy's empire is built on secrets that are finally coming to light.
But is that what he's doing? Is he running an entertainment and fashion industry, or is he running essentially a criminal organization?
The jury's biggest question is Diddy a predator who got away with it for decades? The legal breakdown. Can prosecutors finally make these charges stick? Or will Diddy walk free again? The courtroom has heard the bombshells, Cassie's Freakoff testimony, the leaked tapes. But here's the brutal truth. None of this guarantees a conviction.
Why?
Because the prosecution has one massive hurdle to clear, proving coercion beyond reasonable doubt. Without these, the defense can paint Cassie as a jilted ex exaggerating for revenge, a willing participant who regrets her choices. If convicted, Diddy faces decades in prison.
I think what the defense is going to say is that this wasn't blackmail, this was not coercion, this was consensual. We know that Cassie started out with Sean Combs as an early person with someone who is trying to get her career started, and he was going to help her. That's what the defense is going to say, that she was starting out and wanted someone to support her. They did their first record deal together. That's something I think the defense is going to focus on, and had it not been for Sean Combs, she wouldn't be where she is right now. The prosecution obviously is saying he was in control. It may have started out as a consensual. It may have started out with her being excited about seeing him, but ultimately he took control of that relationship. He took control of her career. This is their key witness, and she's on that stand trying to explain all of the charges that the prosecution wants to hit home with that jury.
This case is far from over. New details are emerging daily. Drop a comment below with your opinion about this trial. And make sure you're subscribed because we'll be first to break every shocking update as this trial continues.